Hey, hey, dear beloveds. Well, it's been a little while since I have been live, but you should be expecting more of that coming. And why would that be, Ricky? Well, we are in a very exciting season. It's a season that happens twice a year and is the whole reason for my existence. Not entirely, but that's a pretty close, accurate representation. So we are in the next phase of launching the third level July 2020 intake, which means you're going to be seeing a whole lot of me and getting to experience what I'm experiencing around this particular launch. So every time the third level program launches, and that happens twice a year, as I said, I think about the ways that I can share the core teachings of the program with you and what excites me most about it. And then I give it to you because I want all of us to get to hang out and gain the benefit, even if the third level is not something you're going to do. So what I wanted to share with you today is that as of tomorrow, those on the newsletter list will receive the link. The link will go live to not only join or interview for the next intake of the third level, but you will also get the link to register for the next free live training, which I'm going to tell you all about. So at the moment, if you go to the third level website, I'll share the link with you. You can still register your interest and you'll be advised of the link when it goes live tomorrow, and you can book your interview time. Interview times this round are really limited. That's because, well, blessedly and gloriously, I've got lots of travel coming up in the next few months. And also because we're really discerning about, I guess, the fact that the interview phase is really like a final phase. We want you to book that in when you are really ready to step into your priestess mystic leader and really to take that responsibility to go deeper with your own service. If you're not ready to increase your power to serve, then do not book your interview time. But tomorrow, if you are on the newsletter list, you will get the link to register for the free training. You will, of course, get access to that after tomorrow. I'll be sharing that on Facebook. And what is this free training all about? Well, I'm very excited because it is brand new. I haven't taught this content in this way before. And I think for me, there's been a whole bunch of up-leveling going on around the training resources for the third level. So I am putting together a brand new resource right now, which all of our priestesses and our graduate priestesses will receive, which is the methodology for the method. So the method is the process that you train in. It's a 75-minute rigorous energetic evaluation that allows us to go deep into understanding the dominant fear program in our clients. Now, if you've hung out with me, you'll know that fear is the only problem and fear is also the only solution. So fear is the way that we are able to support our clients to heal. And if we aren't working at that deep subconscious level, then we're working with superficial stuff and it's not going to work. So we are trained as fear huntresses inside of the third level. And the method is this incredibly powerful process to go as deep into that subconscious as you possibly can and to create permanent positive change. Now, what I've sort of been yearning to do and haven't necessarily had the space for a little while is to create a methodology around the method. Now, if you're not an academic like me, I'm all into this stuff. I'll read to you what a methodology is. Ricky, what the hell are you talking about? So if the method is the process, that 75-minute session where you are taken deep into the subconscious to identify the dominant negative self-belief, the methodology is how we, if you like, understand. So methodology, I'll give you a definition, is the branch of philosophy that analyzes the principles and procedures of inquiry in a particular discipline. So the method is the discipline, and this is the philosophy, if you like. Another way of thinking about that is a system of broad principles or rules from which specific methods or procedures may be derived to interpret or solve different problems within a particular discipline. So the method is the process, and this new manual, which I am so excited about, is the methodology, the philosophy, the theory, the why of the method. So putting all of that together not only makes me feel like a gorgeous academic nerd, which I am, and makes the Institute's resources and the quality of our training even better, it's always an opportunity for me to get deeper into the purpose, the why of what we do and what we train in, and of the method itself, and new ways to think about it and talk about it. And one of the ways that's really been, deeply sparking for me is around this idea of the descent to the underworld. So I'm not going to show you my hand-drawn visual, but if you know anything about the dark night of the soul, or the visual depiction of the dark night of the soul, it's really like we go deep down into this valley, and then we reach what feels like the bottom of the barrel, and then we ascend our consciousness with a new understanding, a deeper wisdom. We've embodied something more, we've understood it, we've traveled the journey. It's not comfortable, but it's usually not a choice. We just, life takes us on these learning experiences, which often feel like a dark night. So the method, which may sound like something you're like, why would I sign up for that? The method is an intentional descent to the underworld of your subconscious. So you're not waiting for life to hit you like a Mack truck in order to have an experience. You make a conscious choice to meet your fear fearlessly and to be guided by a fear huntress, an intuitive guide, with the purpose of accelerating your awakening. And when I was thinking about how best to describe that journey as I was putting together this methodology, I was invoking, or the image of Inanna, the idea of that image of Inanna's descent. Now, if you don't know Inanna is an ancient goddess, and she's depicted in one of our oldest, longest poems that's known to our civilization, which is, I can't remember the exact title, but it's The Descent to the Underworld is her journey, and I'll find the title in here because I've got it, so I don't want to get it wrong for you. Anyway, in understanding her journey, I was able to see more deeply the journey that we take in the method as this intentional descent in order to ascend our consciousness, in order to accelerate our awakening. And this idea that we often feel like we want to avoid, I can't find it right now, I'll find it for you afterwards. We want to avoid the discomfort. We want to avoid the shadow. We want to use our tools to bypass these growth phases of our journey. And in so doing, we actually miss the point, because we're not actually here for our comfort. We're here for our evolution. Yes, you've heard me say this again and again. But thinking about what I wanted to share with you in this next free live training, which is the reason I'm here with you today, is understanding the descent to the underworld as the marker of the sacred leader, or the instigation of sacred leadership within us. So the title of the next training is The Descent to the Underworld as the Path to Sacred Leadership. I am so freaking excited about this one, because it's bringing together so many core aspects of what I teach, but in a way I haven't done before. And really understanding that for so many of us, we're called to this path of sacred leadership, and we are terrified by that call, and yet it is irresistible to us. So we know that we are here with a destiny to serve through demonstration, which is what leadership is. And we're both deeply, deeply inspired and excited by that call, and equally terrified, because that means that we then have to become self-reliant and responsible, and we have to become the demonstration. There's no compromise with that. The sacred leader is not some of the time, when it's convenient, if I can be bothered and the kids are not shitting me and I got enough sleep and blah, blah, blah. It's all the time. When you put your hand up and you accept that deep soul yearning to step into sacred leadership, that's it. The spotlight's on you. And that can feel so overwhelming and so terrifying that we'll do anything in our power to sabotage ourselves from going down that path. And so what I've talked about the relationship of sacred leadership to power. And this is really a further extension of that, of understanding that what we're doing is we are consciously and intentionally making a choice to descend into that fear that we have of our own power in order to ascend our consciousness in that accelerated way. So really looking through another model, another way of thinking about sacred leadership. This is really the core of my work right now, that will help demystify or neutralize the fear that so many women feel around stepping onto this path, because it's magnetizing you. It's irresistible. If you're being called, you cannot say no to it. So this training is happening Thursday, the 12th of March. I think it's at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We will be sending the link out in the newsletter tomorrow for you to register, and then we'll make it public, I think probably later that day or the next day. I would love for you to sign up for this. You can get the recording even if you can't attend live, especially if you feel the yearning to do the deep shadow work, to do the deep work of a deep faith, which is not just about staying on the superficial surface and hoping everything feels nice and everybody's kind to you and no one's ever critical and nothing ever happens that's bad and nobody you love gets hurt. That is called spiritual bypassing, and it's absolutely so harmful. So our willingness to dive deep in is a precursor to our capacity to be able to serve others in that way. So there's sort of no point showing up to the third level to train as a fear huntress for others if you're not willing to do that for yourself. And so this training is really going to be an opportunity to support those women who feel that call or on the path of sacred leadership with how do we fearlessly go towards what we are most terrified of, which is our own power. In short, it all comes down to humility. This is such a core to all of my teachings, but we're going to look at humility and unpack it in a completely different way to anything I've discussed before, and I'm very, very excited about that. And really invoking the archetype of Inanna. And if you don't know Inanna's story, just very briefly, in the poem The Descent to the Underworld, Inanna is the goddess of love and war. And, you know, she's in the upper echelons, the light, the fluffy clouds, everything's amazing. And her sister is the goddess of the underworld, Ereshkigal. And Ereshkigal's husband dies. And Inanna can hear her wailing, her grieving, her sobs all the way from the underworld up in heaven. And she's like, whoa, that's intense. Like, if I can hear her cries, her grief must be very, very deep. And not only does Inanna want to be there for her sister through her compassion for her, there's a deep curiosity about what it is that Ereshkigal is experiencing, because there's a richness even in that grief. There's a power in it that Inanna potentially, I mean, this is, there's lots of interpretations of this story, but that she wants to embody. And for me, I'm invoking Inanna as a symbol of a return to wholeness and holiness. So we cannot be all light without the darkness. We cannot ascend to that level if we have not gone and journeyed to the underworld. And so Inanna makes a conscious choice to go and journey to the underworld. And in so doing, she has to give up all of her identity. She has to give up her power, the symbols of her power. She has to give up all the accoutrements of being the goddess of love and war. And by the time she goes through the 7 gates to the underworld, she is so stripped bare of any ego-identified I, herself, that in fact she's dead. Like, she has no life left in her. And her sister, Ereshkigal, is so offended by her appearance in the underworld. She's not allowed to come to the underworld. It's not her domain, that she hangs Inanna's body on a hook. And this symbol of being hung on the hook, now, if we think about the way that we use this phrase in our language, our current vocabulary, you know, I'm not going to let you off the hook. I'm not going to let myself off the hook. We have to hang on the hook of our own discomfort in order to meet truth. And if we're let off the hook, then it's like we get an easy out. We get an easy pass. And the depth of our learning and understanding is then compromised. So that idea of being hung on the hook and not let off the hook is such a powerful metaphor for this idea of I am here for your comfort, I'm here for your evolution, not your comfort. And eventually, of course, Inanna is rescued by Ninshaba, her female sister, if you like, although she is her servant as well, but she risks her own life and goes to the gods to plead for Inanna, because once you get to the underworld, you're not supposed to leave the underworld. That's the whole freaking idea. And Ninshaba tried to warn Inanna and say, sister, don't go there, because if you do, you'll never be coming back. Eventually, a deal is struck and Inanna can leave only because of the devotion of her sister. And it's a very beautiful story of the power of that sisterhood as well. But I feel so much in this story, and I feel the depth of what I will be able to share with the priestesses, both the ones who are coming on retreat with me in just next month, and those who will come into the July intake. There's a real richness to this, and I'll be bringing it to all of the sisters in the alumni as well. And this new resource is part of that stepping up the constant evolution of this work. There's nothing static about this training. So it's incredibly exciting, and I will be sharing a lot more about this. We'll be having this training on the 12th, as I said, and I'd love for you to join me, and I'd love for you to let me test out this material on you and see how it feels and what you want to know more of. And of course, if you are interested in registering for the next intake of the third level, the interviews will open in April. The interview link will go live tomorrow, so you can still head to the website. I'll share the link in the comments here in order to register your interest, and you'll be sent the link to book. And places are strictly limited. It is definitely, you know, a curated experience, and I do want to ensure that if you show up, that there's a feeling of readiness to get over yourself, you know, to hang on the hook for a while and do the deep work, as every woman who's walked this path has done and keeps demonstrating to me how willing they are to do the deep work, not the comfortable work, not the fluffy work, not the light and, you know, glitter work, but the deep work, which is often dark and deep bereavement, if you like, of letting go of identity of the little I to become the I am, the holiness. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. It all kicks off tomorrow officially. I'm so excited. I love launch season. I love this work. I love sharing these insights with you. I'll be sharing lots and lots and lots. So stick around. Make sure that you are notified when I go live so you don't miss anything. And yeah, so much love to you all. Bye.